My name is Liz Mercado, and I'm Star Director of the Tinker Stars team. I live in Sarasota, Florida, and yesterday I was talking with Melissa, and she asked if I would share my story, so I told her I would do so today. For a long time, I want to say that my story to me didn't seem important. It didn't seem like it was special enough. I kept hearing all these stories of these amazing people that like overcame these amazing things, and I just felt like my story was not special enough. But I'm going to share with you guys my story and then tell you guys how my journey changed. So I joined October 5th of 2012, so almost 8 years ago, and I joined under a friend. I joined during a very dark time in my life. My husband and I got married in 2011, and about 3 or 4 months later, we were expecting our first child. So we were really excited. I was really nervous because I did not want to get pregnant so fast, but hey, it happened, right? Things happen for a reason. And so April of 2012, we welcomed our baby boy into this world. And unexpectedly and very unforeseen, he passed away a week later. It was probably the hardest thing I've had to go through in my whole life. And I have 2 amazing, wonderful kids that I, fight with every single day. But it was really a moment that set me in a downward spiral. But knowing that I wanted to have kids, knowing that we were newlyweds, I really was trying so hard to not fall into a depression. And especially with postpartum, right? So I was trying everything. I was trying getting I left my job and I got a new job so I wouldn't have to talk about it with anyone, but it would always come up. And I felt like in my life, if I didn't talk about it, people were ignoring the fact that I was a mom and that I had a son. So I would get really anxious and angry when people wouldn't acknowledge that I was a mom or that I had a son. So my friend joined Scentsy and posted on Facebook, does anybody want to have a party and get free stuff? I had no idea what Scentsy was. I had actually heard about it a couple of times, but I judged Scentsy. I'm not gonna lie, I love it now, but I judged Scentsy. I thought it was gonna be expensive. We were living paycheck to paycheck, so anytime that I even saw a catalog sitting, I was like, oh, I probably can't afford that. And it probably comes from me having a background with other direct selling companies that I was a part of or that I used to know about that were expensive and way out of my budget. So I kind of never even looked at a catalog, but she said the word free. And I said, okay, I can have friends over, which will help me get distracted. It will help me see people, and I can get free stuff. I don't know what it is, but I can get free stuff. So I decided to have a party, and my first party was a complete flop. Complete flop. I remember it was $150 minimum, and I had $25. One person bought a 6-pack of bars. So my mom, who was at my party, said, why don't we do a party next week at my house, because I can invite the whole neighborhood. I had just barely moved too, so I didn't know any of the neighbors. I had only invited a few friends. So I was like, okay, fine. So the week goes by, we go to my mom's house, and the party was amazing. I think my party was over $200. And so during that party, I was doing the consultant's job. I was answering questions. I was bundling and saving stuff. I was finding scents for people. So my friend said, have you ever thought about joining? And I said no, because I had failed at other direct sales, especially one that I had retried or relaunched right before I had my son, and I completely failed. I couldn't give the product away if I wanted to. And I'm a cosmetologist by nature. I went to cosmetology school, and it was makeup. So I already failed. I don't want to fail again. But she said, well, you can get paid back on your purchases. You're going to get some free stuff. You're probably going to need to replenish that. So why not join to get the discount? So I went home and I talked to my husband about it. And he's like, your wish list is already big enough. So I think it might be a really good idea to join, get your stuff for free and half off, get paid back on your stuff, and then you can quit. So I joined with the mentality that I was going to quit in like maybe a year or two, right? Doesn't help that Scentsy always comes out with a better catalog every season, but that was my mentality. I was just going to do it for a year or two. I was not going to quit my job, not going to be like, you know, a star director someday, but something changed. And what changed, the first thing that changed was that I went to an event, and I went to Spring Sprint, which is World Tour back then. And I went because I wanted a day off. Can you guys believe that? Like, I literally did not have the Scentsy mindset. I went because I was like, I can take the day off, get paid, go hang out at this thing. They say they're going to give away free stuff. Why not? I went, and something sparked. I was hearing all these stories about how people, I couldn't afford a gallon of milk, and all of a sudden now we're superstar directors, and we can go on vacations, and we're earning trips, and we bought a house, and we bought cars. And my husband and I were living in an apartment. Those were our dreams. I've always wanted to travel. So I was like, hold on. Like, people are doing this with Scentsy? Like, how? So I started looking. But then things changed. Okay? My sponsor messaged me and said, well, actually, first off, I moved to Florida. So I was in Utah when I joined. I moved to Florida. And right after I moved to Florida, I was a new mom. I had my daughter. When my daughter was born, because of the little spark that I saw at World Tour, I decided to quit my job and be a stay-at-home mom and dedicate more time to Scentsy. But I moved to Florida, and my sponsor calls me and says, Scentsy is just not my thing. I found something else that I want to do, and I'm going to quit. And I was like, what? What do you mean you're going to quit? What does that mean for me? And she's like, oh, don't worry. You're just going to roll up to my sponsor. So I knew her sponsor. Her sponsor not once reached out to me. And 3 months later, she also quit. Okay. So I rolled up to her sponsor, which I also knew because when I was in Utah, I had met all of them. Again, never reached out to me. So for about the first 2 to 3 years of my Scentsy journey, right? Well, my first year was amazing. My first year, I got Shooting Star. I got Sensational Star at level 2. I was getting PRV. I was excited. I promoted to lead a month in. Really, really exciting stuff happened. But then I kind of got stuck. And I got stuck because I got stuck in my own mind. My sponsor quit. My new sponsor doesn't help me. My new sponsor doesn't reach out. My new sponsor doesn't shout me out when I have a good month. My sponsor doesn't ask me what I'm struggling with. And then I'd go to all these events because events are amazing and they fill your cup. And I would see all these superstar directors or all these star directors or all these directors doing all these cute stuff for their teams. Like, you know, like little bags and, you know, like they all had like the same lays or the same little crown or whatever. And I'm sitting there by myself, like literally by myself. I didn't have a team. I didn't have my sponsor here. My sponsor didn't send me anything. She would never even reach out to me, right? So I felt stuck. And instead of saying, like, I can do this, I kept saying why I couldn't do this and why I wasn't seeing success. But at one of those events, I heard an amazing director at the time, who's a superstar director now, talk about her journey. And her journey was very similar to mine. So I approached her and I told her my situation. I told her I just moved to Florida. Is there any way that you can kind of like just adopt me into your team page just so I can get inspiration? I don't have a team page. And so she said, that's fine. I will share all of my ideas with you, but just know that when I do like team challenges, you don't get like the prize. And I'm like, that's fine. I don't care. Like, I just need inspiration. So I joined her team page. I would show up to her power hours. I would show up to all the live trainings that people did on her team page. I mean, I was like, I need to soak up everything. I was like a sponge. I need to learn all the things, right? I kept going to events. I got an email from Scentsy saying, your superstar director is no longer your superstar director. You have been moved up to this person. I was like, I need to go to SFR to meet these people. So I went to SFR Las Vegas in 2015, and I met my new superstar director and my new director at the time, who's now my superstar director, who were amazing. They were so welcoming. They were so like wanting to get to know me, and they were so like sweet. And I was like, okay, like now I have people. So I showed up to their calls and I reached out to them as much as I could. And then I listened to a training by a superstar director who was talking about the importance of knowing that this business is our own. So I reached out to my friend who had adopted me and I said, hey, I listened to this training and I'm really, really feeling stuck because like my sponsor doesn't do anything. And she said, Liz, do you do this for you or do you do it for your sponsor? I said, I do it for myself. She says, why does it matter if your sponsor reaches out to you? Why does it matter if your sponsor does a challenge or doesn't do a challenge or recognizes you or not? Do it because you want to like improve, because you want that bigger paycheck, because you want to promote. And that's when my business changed, when my mindset changed. Mindset is everything in this business. And it's very easy to sit there and be on the negative side, especially when things are selling out, when shipping is slow, when we're in the middle of a pandemic and people might be losing their jobs. But guess what? If we choose to focus on the good things, we choose to focus on the things that are available, on the fact that our product is on such high demand that shipping is a little bit slower because we just are selling like crazy tons of Scentsy. If we choose to focus on, instead of judging our customers, showing them why Scentsy is amazing and how Scentsy can be delivered to their doorstep and how they don't have to go out to the stores if they don't want to, how they can have a business of their own and get income during a pandemic. That's when my whole business changed. So when I changed my mindset, I started seeing growth. In that fall, I promoted to Star Consultant. A year exactly to the date, I promoted to Superstar Consultant. And then a year and a half later, I promoted to Director. When I promoted to Director, that had been my goal for so long, you guys, for so long. I was so excited to walk the stage in Austin. And I got to walk alongside one of my best friends who had also promoted to Director. And I remember at that reunion saying, okay, like my next goal is Star Director, but I can't do that by myself. I need to have two directors to be able to get there. So what do I need to do? And that is the beauty of learning to grow in this business, is having your goal, but learning that you cannot do it alone. And that what can I do to help others? Because helping others is going to help me get to my goal. So that fall, I dove into my team. I dove into my team so bad that like my PRV was a little bit rocky. Like I used to like not struggle to get like at least 1,000 PRV, and I usually averaged about 2,000. I was struggling to get to 1,000, but it was because like most of my focus was on my team, was on helping them achieve their goals, breaking those goals down, getting really deep into their whys. And so then that fall, I promoted my first director. I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I just did this. And I remember somebody on the director page telling me like, didn't you just promote? And I'm like, I did just promote in April. And she just promoted. I'm so excited. And then this past June, I had my second director, right? But guess what? I didn't hit Star Director that month. Because when I promoted to Star Director, all that volume from that director goes to my group volume, but left my team volume, right? So I decided, I'm like, I need to dive into my team again. I need to grow my team. I need to help them build. So my focus was getting them to get paid at title and keep building my frontline, right? So my mindset again changed. It wasn't about me. I knew that if I helped them, I would get to my goal. 2 months later, actually a month and a half later, I promoted to Star Director. You guys, I still can't believe it. And it's been about 2 months since I promoted, or a month and a half since I promoted. But everything changed in my business when my mindset changed. And everything goes amazing in my business when I focus on the positive and I stop thinking about the negative. Yes, shipping is slow. Yes, things sell out. Yes, things have recalls like the Luminary Jack. But guess what? We still have so much to offer. We have so much to focus on. Yes, half the fall scents are out of stock. But guess what? I can focus on all the other scents. I can focus on Christmas scents that are available or on the fall scents that are available. It's what you choose to do with your business that will bring you a great outcome or a so-so outcome. Like when you think about Scentsy and feeling stuck, tell yourself or ask yourself, how is Scentsy having, what is it, 70, $80 million months and I can't sell anything? I promise you it's not that everybody doesn't like you. I can promise you that. It's probably you're not asking. It's probably you're just posting on Facebook and not really doing the hard part of the business. You got to remember that in this business, you are an independent consultant. Your sponsor, your director, your star director, your superstar director, your team can only do so much for you. You have to put in the heavy work, and you have to be willing to change those hats. You have to put the hat on for marketing. You have to put the hat on for, shipping and delivering. You have to put the hat on for HR and the boss hat and all the stuff, because this is your business. You're in control. I've never been a big home party person. I've always been kind of like collect orders, get PRV. And I remember when I first joined, Jason Harwood called me and asked me, how are you getting all these parties? And I'm like, parties? I ain't doing no parties. I'm like, I'm just collecting orders, and every time I get to 200, I put an order in. But guess what? This year, that changed. With this pandemic, I was like, I have to do parties, and they had to be Facebook parties, and I hated Facebook parties. Hated Facebook parties with a passion. But I changed my mindset. I had a pep talk with myself, and I said, Liz, Facebook parties have to work for you. They have to. Because right now, nobody wants to borrow your bag because the germies, like my son calls it. Nobody's doing home parties. Like, Facebook's has to work. In May, I had 5 Facebook parties that all qualified. In June, I had 4 Facebook parties. They all qualified. And the only reason why I haven't had any parties this month, besides the first one that I had this month, which I flipped to my hostess, is because I haven't asked. So whose fault is that? It's not Scentsy's. It's not my sponsors. It's my fault for not asking. So when you sit down and you think, my story isn't special enough, my story is just a normal story. I joined because I love the product. You might have joined because you love the product, but why have you stayed? How has Scentsy changed your life? I joined because I wanted a hobby to distract me from my depression, with the mindset that I would quit after 2 years. I'm going to celebrate 8 years. Scentsy changed my life. Scentsy brought so much light into my life. It has brought friendships across the world. I have a friend that I talk to on almost on the daily through Facebook. That's in Australia. I've never met her, but we promoted to director on the same month, and that bonded us for some reason. And so we talk. We literally talk. It has brought me travel. I love to travel. And guess what? I haven't earned any of the incentive trips yet. I've earned SFR many times. But that doesn't mean that I haven't traveled because of Scentsy. I go to World Tour, which is never in my city. I go to SFR, which is in different locations every single time. I go on retreats and I go visit friends. I get to travel because of Scentsy. I get to take my family on vacations because of Scentsy. My husband's paycheck literally pays for our bills. Scentsy pays for everything else. So think of your story not only as to why you joined. A lot of people join because they love the product, they want the discount, they need extra money. But why has Scentsy blessed your life? Why has Scentsy changed your life? Because that's part of your story too. I have become a whole new different person in my Scentsy journey. And I mean, I've grown in my, as a person, right? And in the last year and a half since I promoted to director, even my team has said, you've grown so much. You've learned so many different things. You're a completely different leader. And that's the beauty of Scentsy. It's a personal growth development business with a paycheck. Who doesn't want to grow as a person and get paid to do so, right? The only thing is that we get to share an amazing product with people for them to buy and for them to join and sell. while they're sharing it. So, if you get anything from this today, is that your mindset is everything. Your story, as insignificant as it might feel to you, needs to be heard, because it might change someone's life. It might change someone's day. I'll share with you guys that this past February, I went to World Tour. And it was not a good experience, okay? It was actually probably one of the events that I'd rather not go to. Like, I just had a lot of drama going on with teammates that were upset, teammates that were like dividing the group. It was just not a really good experience. But I chose to look at the good things, right? I chose to still have a good day and enjoy and soak up what I could soak up. And I remember I went into a training, and for some reason I had gone into that training and I had to step out to go pick up the lunch. And I had this feeling that I had to listen to that training. So I went back to that training at the end of the day. And I remember listening to a friend of mine who said, the lack of appreciation does not determine the leader that you are. And I was in tears, because that's how I was feeling that day. I was feeling really unappreciated for all the things that I was doing. And I said, oh my gosh, like, that is so true, right? But I was also having a really bad month. Like, I was struggling with my sales. I was struggling to get paid at title, but I wanted to get paid at title because I was so close to my consistency. And so I remember one Friday, my husband was out working Uber, and I was just crying on my couch. Like, I was just bawling on my couch saying how I'm not enjoying Scentsy. I don't love Scentsy anymore. I just want to quit, but I don't want to leave my team stranded. I don't want to, my upline's not going to help them. So, like, what am I going to do? Like, and I went to the director page and I said, what do you guys do when you guys are discouraged? And a friend who's a friend now, reached out and asked me what was going on. And I told her, and she's like, you need to take the weekend off. And I was like, what? What is a day off in the Scentsy world? Like, I don't take days off. She said, just take the weekend off, get off Facebook, get off your team page, and just back off, and like, we'll just talk. So me and her went back and forth. We talked. And you guys, I was on the brink of like literally quitting, okay, in February. And in August, I promoted to SD. Sometimes when we're on the brink of quits, when we're like just about to give up, is when we're about to turn that corner into something great. So if you ever feel like my story is not important, I should just quit, don't quit on yourself. You're only quitting on yourself. You're not quitting on your sponsor. You're not quitting on your team. Because if they want it bad enough, they're gonna make it happen. You're quitting on your dreams. You're quitting on yourself. So don't quit on you. Don't stop believing in yourself just because everything is going not the perfect way. Like, sometimes there's a learning lesson. And my learning lesson was that I had to bless and release and let go. And that's hard for me because I'm a perfectionist and I'm like OCD and I want everybody to like me. And I'm like, no, like, if someone's mad at me, like, that is just not right. Like, I have to have my team like me. But guess what? I'm not the Chick-fil-A sauce. Like, not everybody's gonna like me. Not everybody's gonna bond with me. And that's okay. So in your journey with Scentsy, as you're finding your story, as you're building your story, there's gonna be so many lessons that are gonna become part of your story. My story now is that I have, the Scentsy journey has helped me mold me into a brand new person. Yes, I'm still a little OCD and still like a perfectionist, and I still want things done my way. But guess what? As my directors promote, I'm not forcing my ways on them anymore, as I did with my first one. Because because I've learned that it's their journey. This is my journey. This is their journey. So I'm so glad that I got to share my story with you guys today. And And I can't wait to hear stories because I love hearing stories. I feel like every time that someone tells their story, they'll say like, oh, my story's not really that great. And it's a great story. So tell your story. Share your story. Share your story with your customers. Share your story with your team, because you never know who it's going to resonate with, who it's going to speak volumes to. If you keep it to yourself, you're only keeping it to yourself. Share it with the world. You're important. Your voice needs to be heard. And I hope you guys have a great day and a great rest of your week.